unfortunately, salespeople are in a bad habit, and this especially in the SaaS world, because people are not trained well, treating every lead the same. Every lead is not the same. That's like saying every person's the same. They have very different needs. And what a typical SaaS person will come on, and you've been through all these demos. Hey, Julio, is like, let me show you our product demo and blah, blah, blah. Like, really, why don't you walk me through? What are you trying to achieve with this? Like, how are you trying to go? And then you'll tell them, and then they totally miss it. And they go on to a product demo that's completely generic. And they don't adjust, they don't move. And you literally told them, like, they'll have the discovery questions because their people are smart enough to put them there, but then they're oblivious to like listening because they're nervous about getting through a presentation. It's crazy. Like sales, traditional sales. So everyone from SaaS listening out there understands we had conversations and it was like a back and forth. It was not like, here's just my product. No, it was like, can I trust this individual? Are they sharp as a tack? Are they going to add to my life? Do they have, do they have integrity? We're skipping all these things nowadays. I find that so many in the sales presentations, 90% of them, people aren't good salespeople. People are customer success people at best, And the best part of optimizing a sales process is teaching people within it what to say and when, but more than that, it's training them, right? And if you want to increase productivity, you have to train your people to actually do sales. And I find modern SaaS selling, this is my biggest thing. I'm pushing all you SaaS guys, I'm picking on you. This isn't manufacturing, this isn't distribution. Those people know how to sell. SaaS people, you're trained to be order takers, or you're trained to be standardization, and you're not very nimble. And being nimble is what closes larger accounts, enterprise accounts especially, right? And so I'm challenging all of you out there when we're thinking about improving our processes. Don't forget good old-fashioned sales training, good old-fashioned methodologies, good old-fashioned relationship building. Like, hey, after you have a meeting with someone, add them on LinkedIn saying, it was great to meet you. Thanks for spending the time with me. I look forward to our next discussion. What does it take you? A minute to say thank you? Or what the old thing where you handwrite a card to somebody, right? Or send over a little gift, whatever it is. Old-fashioned stuff still works. And this is what we take out of modern sales processes. We forget that there is a way to build relationships and a way to sell, and they have to come together. And what we try to teach our clients is that they're not mutually exclusive, right? You can't just live in the old and you can't live in the new. So with our manufacturing clients, you can't just live in the old. Like, you need more than a pen and paper and a shake of a hand nowadays. Like, there's contracts and speed to things. And then with our SaaS, that there are relationships and taking time and remembering birthdays and understanding what your clients are looking for from connection and networking. So those are a few things that stand out to me, Julio. And I realize we might be recorded right now instead of posted to LinkedIn Live. So it might be a little bit different when people are listening to this. But as you guys have your questions, you're watching this, we'll watch the video uploads, whether you're on Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube or X, and we'll be answering those questions. So Julio, my big question, you do a lot of fractional management. And so he's working with customers, figuring out how to move the sales needle in a lot of different ways. What do you feel are the three biggest factors right now into moving productivity on a sales team? And you can go high level. Matter.
Yeah. It's man, it's very unique per situation for sure. But if I look at all of them together, like there's definitely like number one is process and efficiency, right? Like to kind of go hand in hand, right? If there's not a process in place that folks know about, that have been trained on, it's generally a mess and it needs to be cleaned up, and there needs to be some sort of consistency built in. That's one of the first things that I see as sort of a little bit of a mess in most accounts that I've looked at. Which is, not something that's easy to fix either when you don't have a process. It takes time, and it takes somebody who knows what they're doing to go in there and literally architect a process that is ideal for not only your sellers, but also matches the way that the buyers buy. Having that in place is key. Outside of that, I would say also like lack of a proper tech stack, right? Like not using a proper tech stack can cause a lot of problems. It's almost like using no tech stack at all. Sometimes it's even worse because you have all these different things happening that don't talk to each other, they don't connect, and they end up just being more work than they're used to, right? If there's no good integration between just one and two systems together, then you're kind of screwed because you're doing all this extra stuff. And imagine that at scale is trouble. So I look at the tech stack. I see that's generally a problem. And then, of course, with the process, that efficiency is a problem. And then I would also now point it to leadership, right? I mean, I would say like there's also like people are too busy, right? If they're a growing company or they don't have the right person in place or whatever that looks like, there's sometimes that issue as well. Luckily for me, most of the clients I have worked with lately are great leaders. They just needed to fill that gap. So there wasn't a major problem there. Sometimes if there's somebody in there who doesn't do the job right, it can cause a bigger problem than doing nothing at all. So those are the three big ones for me: leadership, process, and tech stack, I'd say.
That was perfect. And what I'd like to touch on and explore a little bit more is leadership, because one of the things I find, and this is kind of disingenuous, is people be like, oh, I treat my people like people unless they're in sales. Unless they're in sales. And this is what I get wound up by. People hire people in sales, and in 3 months, they expect them to move the world. And they don't have the tools. They can't do it themselves. And they hire this salesperson who's not trained in process, who's not trained in everything else, but they got a great attitude and lots of energy, and they expect them to go move the world. And they're ill-equipped. It's like sending your soldier to battle and not giving them any of the equipment that they need to fight the war. Like, it's a wild thing that leadership does in smaller companies that has to be rearranged. If you're hiring a salesperson to save yourself or to push the needle without building the foundation first, you're not just going to hurt your productivity, you're going to hurt the culture of your company. Because just because you treat everybody else perfect in your company and you treat sales very badly and like a number, that ricochets off and other people see it. And I think that's one of the biggest things I see in organizations is you can't be all collaborative in every other part of your organization and then mastering commander with your salespeople. And how many calls I get on with organizations that tell me, well, I need this, I'm going to produce this number, this is going to work this way. And I go, okay, well, what's your collateral? What does this look like? How does this? Well, we don't have any of that. All right. So why is a salesperson who can make the same amount of money going to come work for you as go over to this competitor over here who has all the infrastructure? They're not.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Not going to happen, right? So it's a competitive marketplace now. And this is what I think company owners think. My company's awesome. Everybody does. It's like my kid's the best. But I'm going to tell you, your kid's not. Your company's not. There's always better than you. And there's always another place to go. And that's what the free market is a great competition. It makes us all better. But that's where you got to confront yourself, is saying, how do I make a really equitable environment? How do I tie it to people's goals? How do I make them feel safe and secure? Psychological safety is probably the number one thing in the game nowadays on a good sales team. And then how do I make it an atmosphere of growth where people they take ownership themselves? They go after those things, but you give them the level of support that they need versus the one you think is required. And I think that that's a hard balance to strike. And productivity at the end of the day in sales comes from people. And you can have the best process and things and they're following, they will get results, but you'll never go parabolic. You'll never go to that next level without lining people up. And that's where I think people skip.
Thanks for watching, and keep removing those revenue roadblocks. If you want more videos like this, follow our channel for fresh, new content every day. Check out our RevOps playlist, or how about this video chosen just for you? See you next time.